I am a software development manager. And that really means that I am responsible for people who design, develop, and deliver high-quality software. In other words, I'm not doing anything useful at this point. But I've always liked computers. I mean, my entire life. I'm in the industry for more than 15 years now. And I started even in high school. But I don't want to talk to you about computers today. But I want to tell you a story about how I moved from this world of, perfectly stable and predictable computers programming algorithms into much less stable world of human interactions and social interactions. At least for me, that was. Now, you don't have to worry. The story will not be anything embarrassing or anything like that. If I wanted to that, I would probably invite my wife to the stage. Now, it really starts in 2006. I've been working in the United Kingdom as a web application software developer, which means those are the guys who create websites like Facebook, LinkedIn, and others, countless others, really. And about a month, me working there, we've been gathered in a meeting like this, which is really a meeting before important product launch. Now, the next day, we were about to release important product. And we've been just going through a checklist of all the things we had, just to make sure nothing will break. And I remember standing there in the back and wondering, did they fix the issue I've learned about just yesterday? And then I thought to myself, well, there's so many experienced people in that room. I mean, they're, professionals. They know how to code stuff much better than I am. They speak English better than I am, right? It was UK after all. This error is so much obvious that they must have fixed that. And I don't want to embarrass myself, so I kept quiet. And the product launch was at night, because that's usually when it happens. And the next day, 8 a.m. in the morning, we have something that is called Severity 1 incident, because application doesn't work for more than 100,000 customers. And surprise, surprise, the error was the one I knew about. You see, I could change that, but I said nothing. I could, save those customers. I could save company a lot of money, and I have said nothing. I could, save myself and my colleagues a lot of stress that followed, but I have said nothing. And I've been wondering, now is it me? I mean, is it maybe the flaw of my character or something? I mean, after all, I've always been a little bit weird, right? I mean, for instance, in high school, instead of going to parties or, chasing girls, I've been doing this, computer programming. In fact, doing that at Friday night was much better alternative for me than this, right? So I've been standing and wondering, probably this and my extraordinary social skills is the reason for me not speaking on this, during this meeting. But I just learned that two other folks in the same group did not speak up that day. And I know for a fact that one of them did have a high school girlfriend, right? So the hypothesis fell. And I forgot about the topic for a while, until a few years later, when I started to work as a project manager in the company I work for now. And now I was responsible for delivering those products to production environment without issues. And I started to observe situations in which people withhold information at important moments. They didn't share for whatever reason something that should be said. And the company, the projects, the teams suffer because of that. And I started to wonder what could be the cause of this, what's the issue, and is there anything we can do about this? So in this endeavor, it turned out that I have to move back 100,000 years to the place like this. And this is really the beginning of human civilization. Right? We just ably evolved away from our ape-like ancestors. And just to be clear, this is how we, as a human being, have spent almost entire our history on this planet. Right? This was our history, really. And look at the guy, I think, in a red hat. I call him Vincent. Now, Vincent is a member of a hunt and gathering tribe, and this tribe needs to stay together. Right? People support each other, they hunt together, share everything. But if he does something, stupid, like steal something from somebody, or he will lie to somebody, he will get thrown out from this tribe. He'll get expelled. And now he has a problem, because when he's alone in the wild, well, the next supermarket is many thousand years away. He definitely will have not retirement when he's old, or something we'll soon experience ourselves. And if he doesn't catch anything to eat for more than 7 days, or if he will get injured, he definitely will die. In fact, he will die. The fact that he will die is highly probable, and so probable that his own brain will help him stay within a group and navigate complex social interactions. And the brain we talk about here is really the limbic brain, which is the mammalian part of our brain. It's called like this because all the mammals have it, and that's where emotion lives. And those emotions we talk about especially, that helps Vincent to stay within a group, are shame and guilt. And Vincent is afraid of those. He doesn't want to feel those because they are not pleasant. I'm pretty sure all of us know what they are, but if there is anybody on this room who doesn't know and is lucky enough to doesn't know how it feels like, then congratulations, most likely you're a psychopath. Now, so those emotions help us. They should. But in today's world, they sometimes do more harm than good, because not all the situation would require us for them to be triggered, right? And there was I've been wondering, well, how deep can this go? How those emotions and everything around them can change our behavior and influence what we do? And it turned out that actually, in the middle of the last century, a new science was created, which called the social psychology. And people were asking this question, right? They've been measuring or studying really the influence of a group on individual, right? What can group do to individual in those interactions? And they have studied many, many things. But things that I found really interesting and more related to what I was looking for was, first of all, the study on conformity, which is really a change in behavior or belief as a result of a social pressure. And one of the scientists, which name was Solomon Asch, designed a very clever experiment. He said to the students, we will do a visual perception experiment. We want to see where the human perception ends. All you have to do is to look at the line on the left and tell us which line on the right is similar in length. Right? In different visual conditions, pretty straightforward task. There was no any ambiguity which answer is correct. But of course, he lied to the students. And that's because what social scientists do. They lie to people. What he actually did, he gathered a group of people like this, and all but one in this group were working for the scientist. And they were told, whenever you see this picture, just give the wrong answer, but be consistent, right? So the experiment goes like this. The first person in this group who's really working for an experiment look at the lines and says, yeah, it's B. The line of the same length is B. The second person looks at this picture and says, yeah, it's B. So is the third and the fourth. And there, of course, comes the person who is on the experiments. And what does she do? Well, she usually in the first round confronts the group and said, no, it's not B, it's actually C. And that ends the first round, but there's 11 that follows. And in each single round, the confederates, because that's what they call those people that work for experimental, are consistent about giving the wrong answer. An amazing thing you can observe is that people start to give up and start to conform to the group and to the majority, 35% of all the answers given were obviously incorrect, obviously. Right? And 70% of participants at least once gave obviously incorrect answer in those studies. Now, when asked afterwards, did you really believe that this line is of that size? They said, oh no. We knew what the correct answer was, but it was getting harder and harder for us to confront the group. You see, because confronting the group is hard. And in this case, they knew what the right answer was, right? And what if the answer is not that obvious? What if you're not certain if you're right? And the group tells you that you are not right. The other study that is worth mentioning here, and I found really interesting, is the study about bystander effect or bystander apathy, which really occurs when the presence of others may stop an individual from intervening in an emergency situation. And I know you all know this, especially it's around the violence, when the people, there is a violence on the streets or somewhere, people present do not react and do not, for instance, protect the victim. But this one has also a different flavor, which I wanted to mention, actually not mention, I wanted to show you this, what it really means and what this is connected to. So this is a study that is called smoked in the room. This is the first condition when participant is alone in a room. She has been given a test as a distraction. Obviously, she's been lied to. And then the experimenters just pull the smoke into the room. And she sees that. That's natural. She's interested. She wants to know what's happening. That's not normal situation. Obviously, this one has a sort of a death wish because she goes there and see what's happening. But after she just sees that, she leaves the room. Nothing unusual. You would expect everybody to behave the same way, right? And now the second condition, which is much more interesting, because now the subject that is under experiment is in the group with so-called confederates, so there's people who work for an experimenter, and they've been told, just don't react to the smoke. Just pretend it's not here. So experiment starts, and the moment the subject starts to see the smoke, look at the counter, right? And look what she does. Now she sees the smoke. She's visibly disturbed. But first thing she does is not screaming, but looking for the confirmation from others that they see the situation as the same emergency as she does. Now, because she doesn't see any kind of confirmation, she doesn't react. Right? She's just, stressed. She doesn't do the test. She knows something's wrong and sits there for almost 6 minutes. In a situation that is really not comfortable for her, nobody reacts, and she doesn't know what to do. 6 minutes almost without reaction. Now 10 minutes. I mean, that must have been really disturbing for her. 20 minutes, she's really stubborn, this one. And finally, she's saved by the bell. Now, this is funny, isn't it? So I need to ask you one thing. Would you report the smoke in the room? And I'm pretty sure you think you would, because that's obvious I would. That's a life-threatening situation, right? So let's find out how many did report the smoke in the room. So when alone, this is pretty straightforward. Everybody reported the smoke in the room, right? But what about when in a group? Hi, Magda. You're Magda, right? Hey. How many do you think did report the smoke? 30%. Okay. Hey, what's your name? You? I'm talking to you. How many do you think have? 20%. 30, 20. Anybody give me a different number? 5. 5, 10, I think I found, okay, tension rises. Right, commercial break. No, just kidding. So this is really the result. Just 10% of people in the group did report the smoke. Now, to be clear, some of them just stand up, open the window, and did sort of different things. But actually, people who did report the smoke were only 10%. And just so you know, this was done on the postgraduate students, which statistically and sociologically is the same group as people in here. So that leads us to the conclusion that only 10% of you, if you didn't know about this, would report the smoke because of a social pressure. And let me ask you this. What if the issue is not life-threatening? Because that was obvious, or semi-obvious. What if the issue is like mine at the beginning of my speech? Because I did not report my smoke in the room. And two others also did not report smoke in the room. And I'm telling you about this because most of you in the future will be working in teams. And you will be faced with a situation like this for whatever reason more than once. And you will have those feelings that I did, the feeling of, I don't want to make fool of myself. But it's more than just a character flaw. It's something that is intrinsically in our brains. And I hope you will not be surprised by your feelings. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. You cannot make them disappear. At least not, you can recondition them, but you cannot make them disappear. But this is like with the flu, right? If you know you have a flu, you can take an action. You can change your behavior. You go to the doctor, take a pill, take a medicine, go to the, don't go to the swimming pool at the winter. And the same with this, right? You can consciously make or override what your, emotions tell you and just do the right thing. And some of you will be leaders in the future, managers, coaches, team leads. And it will be your responsibility to make sure that your teams honestly share information and communicate with the others. And there's one single thing you can do to make that, and I think you've mentioned about this already in your speech before. You can build a trust among team members. Right? If people trust each other, if they know each other and trust each other, they will not hesitate to speak and share their ideas. One of the things I didn't tell you about is in both experiments, those the people that were under experiment didn't know anybody in that group. Right? The lady in the room with the smoke didn't know anybody in that group, and she probably never saw them again afterwards. So trust is definitely an answer in this case. And what I just showed you is really a tip of an iceberg. And I know that at some point, robots and artificial intelligence would take all our jobs away. But until it happens, I say it's worth of, learning about this and studying this, because that can save a lot of, problems for you, your teams in the future, and make things much easier. Thank you very much.